everyone. As Lori wonderfully introduced, this is who I am. You can really quickly grab me on LinkedIn, but I'm sure that they'll share that in the chat later on. And yes, I did recently do a TEDx talk. It's actually coming out this Saturday, all about how to make better connections online. So today will be a career angle, but if you want a general angle on that, look out for that TEDx talk this weekend. But let's jump right in. So years ago, I was trying to get ahead in my career, as many of you probably are on this call. And I remember sending a very, very professional email to a strong business acquaintance. So someone like I kind of knew in the business community. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to get some advice from them. And ideally at the same time, pull them a little closer into my network by letting them in on what I'm looking for. And then, to my surprise, instead of emailing me back, I got a text message from this person instead. So I thought, wow, that's awesome. I must have done it right. They really want to connect with me. It turned out it was not so awesome. They texted to ask why I had sent them a mass message instead of a personal one. But I promise you, I hadn't. I had customized that message, but they obviously saw it as a mass message. They didn't like the wording. So needless to say, I was a bit embarrassed. But at least I got a second chance by text message because they sent it to me right to correct it. Now, this was years ago and a lot has changed since then. And I can start by telling you this, today's version of networking has changed. So I want to do a poll with all of you here. Have you ever received a generic or impersonal LinkedIn message? Yes? No? It could be an email too, like an email that was tailored to you, but really kind of felt cold or impersonal or like a copy paste kind of thing. Assuming yes, answer the second question for me, which is, what did you do with it? Did you A, delete it immediately, B, respond politely, or C, ignore it, but maybe feel a little like awkward doing so? You felt a little bad, but you thought, I'm just going to kind of ignore that. So let me know in the chat. I see a lot of yeses coming through. Ultimately, the idea here is for us to start reflecting on our own experiences with online networking. So you should absolutely be sending direct messages to contacts that can help you with job opportunities. 100%. If you're not doing that, you're going to find out in this presentation today why you have to do it. But consider this. How are your messages landing? If you've gotten some bad ones, maybe we need to reassess ourselves too, right? These people are obviously trying, but it's not working. So how are we each coming across? And thanks everyone for your answers. It's a huge mix, which is really interesting, right? Like in different situations, we all kind of react differently. So what's important to know here is that there are a ton of surveys telling us that the vast majority of respondents, the vast majority of people are getting jobs after being introduced by someone they knew. In fact, there's another study that says that 85% of jobs now happen through your network. So there's only a small percentage, seemingly, that are happening through normal job applications. So if you're applying and you're hitting your head against the wall, wondering why it's not working, your network is where it's going to help. So what we talk about here too is that really like job seekers need to use this kind of back door to gain access to this hidden job market. So I'm going to kind of do theories and ideas and then takeaways for kind of each section. So starting us off right away here, first of all, no, you don't need to be an influencer when we're talking about like online connection, okay? This is super important. But we do need to focus on quality over quantity. So please don't go and like message 100 people for a job after I told you it's important. Instead, do your research and really find those important, meaningful connections that can make a difference for specifically what you're looking for. And so you might have to do some work here first to know specifically what you're looking for. And then you can get to this point of reaching out. So really realize if you have a few well-connected people who can support your journey, it's going to go a really long way. And ideally, you have a network that can vouch for your ability and who you're willing to refer, or they'll be willing to refer you ideally to a few other well-connected people. Okay, so let's do another poll. I'm going to keep you engaged all throughout this conversation today. How often do you comment on other people's posts, let's say on LinkedIn, in a way that actually starts a dialogue? So if you do it all the time, but you're telling me like I say, hey, this is great, or hey, awesome post, or hey, great job, that doesn't count. We want to be answering this in a way that you're actually starting a meaningful dialogue. So say I post on LinkedIn about how to make connections online, and you write back saying, I tried this and it worked for me, and this is how I do it. And hey, Margaux, here's a question back to you, which starts a dialogue so I can then answer in return. That's doing this correctly. Awesome. Okay, a big mix here too. And some of you saying, listen, I really don't do this today. And again, this is really important because this is a really easy way to get ahead. And what we're doing here is we're not actually talking about being an influencer again, or even having to put out a ton of your own content. This is talking about there are people that you want to reach that are already posting really good stuff. Your goal is to start posting something in return to them that makes them notice you, that makes them have a conversation with you. Let me tell you a little story, actually. A few years ago, I discovered a lady named Anna. She had founded an online community for women in tech worldwide. Does this sound familiar? Now, this women in tech is a topic that I'm passionate about. And at the time, I was looking to support women in tech more than a local level that I was. I wanted to do it on a global level. So I started commenting on Anna's posts, and gradually she recognized who I was. Here's an example of that here, a meaningful post. So when eventually I reached out, there was already some trust there. And so when I offered my expertise as a speaker, as an MC, we ended up connecting, and I'm here today with you now, but I've also been hosting their annual conference with top executives from some of the amazing companies you've seen here today. So in action, you're seeing a little bit of how that works. Ultimately, the lesson here is to boost your visibility and the chances for new connections. Try to become a familiar face, but to the right people that matter to you. Engage with their content. You can also join online groups, join online communities, join forums to share your expertise. And generosity goes a super, super long way. So this is not on my slide here, but tag others that are relevant to the discussion. So if you're adding a comment and there's somebody else you could add in, do that. When you're a connector, it really helps other people think highly of you and also to recommend you and tag you for stuff in return. So begin building these relationships now so that they're ready when you need them. Now, here's a slide that kind of gives you a bit of a recap of what I'm talking about here. I'm not going to kind of go through each of these takeaway slides, but they're an opportunity for you to take a quick screenshot, or at the end, I'll give you a QR code so you can sign up and grab these slides from me, and I'm happy to send them to you. You could also shoot me a note on LinkedIn and I can help share these with you as well. So the third one here, though, I will call out quickly. LinkedIn values a long form discussion on posts, and so do your connections. And so use that as a way to stand out. Now, leverage personal branding for networking success. There was literally a talk about this about an hour and a half ago by Minnie. I hope you went to that one. But I'm going to touch on it from a little more of this, like how to get a job tangible kind of standpoint. So if you have an idea in mind to start reaching out to people, which I hope you do now, before you do, consider what did they see when they look you up online? So what is your personal brand? And yes, you have one, whether you like it or not. So let's do a poll again here. Do you feel like your LinkedIn profile accurately reflects your personal brand? And you can answer here. And you could answer this looking at like your profile, also the way that you comment online, kind of your activity and what you're doing. The purpose here is that there is an ability to really stand out online, again, without needing to be an influencer, but you can build a strong personal brand through a few key things. Things like being consistent, being authentic, and ensuring that your online presence reflects the value you offer. So if you're saying it accurately reflects your professional brand, right now, if you're looking for a new role, it should also reflect what you're looking for. So maybe you're looking for a job in product management, but you're always posting about like leading a team. I mean, that's great if you truly are looking for a role in product management with a team attached to it. If you're okay taking a role that has no team, maybe you want to edit that content a little bit. That's just one kind of like really quick example that I'm giving off the top of my head. But there's a lot of these where we're like actually slightly off when it comes to like what we're looking for. So make sure those are aligned. I know it's hard to think about what to post. There was a talk earlier too about kind of using AI tools and ChatGPT. That can be a great like brainstorming partner for you. Put in kind of some of the things you care about into the prompt and say, hey, help me with a bunch of ideas of what to post for the next couple weeks. Really good kind of easy way to use a prompt like that. Okay. So some takeaways from this section: really optimize your profile, share content aligned with your expertise. This helps build credibility. I promise you, people are looking you up online if you're searching for a role with them. And oftentimes too, we think that we're posting a lot about our niche concept, but I even audited myself recently and realized I was posting a little too much in this one area versus another that I wanted to kind of be seen for a little bit more. So what you can do here, I love this exercise so much. The bottom one here, ask your network, what is my brand to you? And you can phrase this different ways, but like, what do you think of me? What do you think I'm known for? But asking what your brand is, really cool exercise that you'll be so surprised what comes out of it. Just ask your personal connections to your family and friends if you don't want to post online, but it's pretty neat to see what comes from that. Okay, keeping you involved, another poll. After a networking event or conference, what are you doing with the people that you meet? So today after this, you're going to meet some great people in the networking area. You're going to see some great speakers who maybe you want to talk to after. What are you doing from there? Are you going to follow up right away? Do you maybe wait for them to connect with you? Or do you have the best intentions, but you just kind of forget to follow up? I think C often happens to people. But I love a lot of A's coming through. Good job to each of you. Think about your follow-up habits here. This really helps us set the stage for practical tips on maintaining connections. And I will say, we are in a world where you have to reinforce the connection afterward online. Even if you meet in person, you have a great connection. Make sure when you send it, you include what was that connection. So, hey, we met in the networking area at the Women in Tech Career Fair on October 16th. Then that way, when you go back later, you remember how you met them, but they also have that very easy follow-up. Because maybe I spoke at 3 different events today, and I actually don't know which one I met you at. That's not true for me today, but it could be, right? You don't know. So you can't just say, hey, great to meet you at the event. So make sure you're specific when you do that. And if you meet in person, I have a really fun tip for you, which is take a picture with the person in advance, like this one here, and send it to them after to reinforce that relationship. This is a really great way to solidify the memory of who you are. And these pictures don't have to be perfect, but this person here actually was someone I met in Prague. I had met them via LinkedIn in advance and said, hey, I'm in town. I see you're someone who does a lot of work around women in tech. This is something I'm passionate about as well. I'm also a speaker and an MC. Are there any events that you have while I'm in town? Here's my dates that you think I should come to or be a part of. She latched on to that second part, and I ended up speaking at an event with the Czechia Chamber of Commerce. So it just is an example of the power of asking. Okay. Again, skimming through these tips here, they're really reinforcing what I just shared, but let me know if you need these slides later on. And thank you so much, everyone, for participating in our chat throughout here. I love it. Okay, job hunting through our connections. Specific tip, ask for what you want and find people who can refer you directly to the job. So if you are looking up a job posting and it has the name of somebody on it, a recruiter, a manager, the person you're going to report to, go on LinkedIn, find them, send them a DM, and let them know you applied and you'd love to talk to them. Put yourself out there. Again, remember, 85% of jobs are landed through networking and referrals. This can be totally frustrating, but let's instead use it to our advantage and get out there. I totally understand too this comment about you don't have enough ability to reach out unless you have a premium account on LinkedIn. So yes, if you have the budget to pay for the premium account, that is amazing. You can send more messages. Otherwise, pick the really strategic people. So find that recruiter, that person who might manage you, and save your messages for those people during this unique time where you are job hunting. Now, we're going to do another poll here. If you have a weak connection to someone at a company that you're planning to apply to, would you do one of these things related to your job hunt? Now, for me, when I say a weak connection, I mean something like maybe you're already connected to them on LinkedIn, but there's no messages between you. You can't remember how you met. You're guessing maybe they just added you kind of like in the past, or you added them, but you don't remember how. So it's a weak connection. Or maybe you met years ago, but you never kept in touch with them. So they don't really know who you are. That's a weak connection. So what would you do with that person? So you want to apply to a job at the company they work at. Say me, you saw me today, you don't really know me, but you want to apply to the company I'm working at. If you're already connected to that person in some way, what do you do? So a lot of good options here. Yeah. And again, I love that we're such a big mix on each of these questions because we're all kind of at different stages. I can share with you many examples of being successful by reaching out to even a weak or non-existent connection for a job opportunity. In fact, I even have got my role at Toptal by doing this, sending a cold message to the person who ended up being my manager. So really great to just dive right in. I'm going to skim this example, but this was one I got. I'm highlighting some parts of it here. Basically, this was someone who reached out to me. They were looking for a job in my exact field. So they identified me clearly as the correct person. And they said they wanted to get in a call with me. And because they reached out authentically and tailored their message, I did agree to reach out to them or to have a call with them. So really, like, the tip here is ask for what you want. In her case, she asked for the call. And second, she made it about my experience, which makes it really easy to say yes. Because she said, hey, can you tell me about your career journey? Can you maybe refer me for a role at this company? Really specific. These are kind of great things to ask. Let the person know kind of how much time you're trying to take from them. And I can give you more examples as well, but this really, really works. So don't be afraid to reach out politely, professionally. Even weak ties can really lead to significant opportunities. And finally, right at the end here, don't wait. Start today by reaching out to one key connection in your network. And this is my final poll question here. Pretend it's a real poll that you have to answer in the chat. Who are you going to reach out to this week using the strategies that you've learned today? Seriously, add it into the chat. Put it out in the world so that you actually do it. I challenge you to reach out to that person today because your next career opportunity could be one that's just this one meaningful connection away.